hurt that he didn't make Trump's VP shortlist. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice. They're going to mandate you get it on. Thanks for tuning in. Joe Praino is back because we had a last-second cancellation, and Joe's in the neighborhood. So good to see you, Joe. Ooh. Joe's got dates coming up: Eugene, Oregon, and Poughkeepsie, New York. I've never even seen it spelled. Yonkers as well coming up. All these dates coming up in the very near future, and you can go to. Going to be opening for me at Governors in Levittown. That'll be June 28th and 29th. But anyway, you can go to joepraino.com for all the live dates. Chris Max Patton here. We got some liked tweets. We got stuff. I got notes.
You're going to graduation today.
Well, that's what I was thinking about when I was driving in today. I'm going to my kid's graduation from high school.
Big day.
They're getting
Huge
a little,
day.
Yeah, but they barely went to high school. I mean, they really didn't go that much. So
there's no attachment.
I don't know. It'll be the first time my son stood on his high school football field, and then I realized that. I don't even know if you need to go to high school anymore. Like I used to say, you don't need to go to college. Now you may not need to go to high school unless you play sports.
So no sense of accomplishment by you that you've gotten them through this high school graduation. It's usually a big day for the parents.
None at all. None at all. But I remember I graduated from high school, and I was thinking back on that date and like what I did and how I felt. So I didn't have any feelings about graduating high school because everyone graduated high school and you're supposed to graduate high school.
Can you prove you graduated high school?
Well, I got a card.
Okay.
I didn't get a diploma.
I'm not buying it. I'm not sure you did graduate.
I got a laminated card, like a wallet-sized card. Most kids probably use it to cut coke, make rails. But I do, I failed in the 10th grade. I failed biology, and then later on I failed driver's ed. It's a lot of range in the failure department.
I also failed biology in 10th grade.
Oh, you did?
I did.
You had Mr. Diliberti?
I had Mr. Fowler.
Fowler.
And Mr. Fowler brought me in, and he said, you failed the final. And I was like, okay. And he's like, you know what that means? I was like, no. And he's like, well, if you fail the final, you fail the class.
Did you attend the class?
I attended regularly, yeah. Just terrible at science.
My first thought with failing in the first semester of the 10th grade with biology was, okay, so I failed because I failed your class because I failed the tests and the quizzes and everything else. But I showed up every day like a sucker, right? Because I had friends that literally just didn't show up, and we got the same grade. We ended up in the exact same place, but I sat here and listened to Mr. Diliberti's long-winded speeches on phylums and invertebrates.
If you're there every day and you still fail, it's almost on him more than it's on you, right?
I think it's an indictment of both.
Yeah.
I think it's...
You didn't make it interesting enough for me to pay attention while I was here.
I couldn't physically do the work.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't read the textbook, and I just couldn't do it. So... I also always had this thought, same thing that happened to me with Mr. Gregory and driver's ed, which is I'm just going to show up every day and not really do that much. And then at some point, he's going to throw me a mercy fuck. You know what I mean? He's going to go, Carolla, he was here. You're like, fuck, I'll give him a D. Then you get a D and you get to move on to driver's training. But I didn't get the D. I got the F. But Mr. Diliberti failed me just because I was, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they used to use a kind of a point system, where they'd go like, if you got 90 or above in the points, then you get an A, and 80 to 90 is a B, and 70
that
and then
like the
below.
System,
yeah.
Sure.
Right. And I always would show up the first day with some sort of false belief that I could get into that number range somehow. At some point, they would do the thing where they rattled it off, and they'd go like, all right, so Cynthia Nagatani, out of a possible 1,100 points, you got 1,026 points. So that's an A, and they'd go down the list, and then at some point they'd get to my name, and they'd go like, out of a possible 1,100 points, you got 63. And then I'd be like, how's that even possible? And they'd go, that's what we got. And then I'd go, well, where's
You're
that?
like 63's passing. Yeah, out of 100.
Down at the bottom. Yeah. So Mr. Diliberti just fired me because just failed me because the points didn't add up. But Mr. Gregory, I just thought all I needed was a pass, because once you got a passing grade, D or better, in driver's ed, then you could do driver's education. You could do driver's training.
Class.
You could do training. Right. I didn't care about my GPA. At that point, the GPA was in the...
What's the bio?
Well, to use a driving reference, my GPA was in the rearview mirror. There was no more delusions about I'm going to be valedictorian or nothing. That was like, now I need to pass. But he failed me, so then I had to take... had to take it at Sears or something. It was horrible. It was
now
horrible.
You're like you've done the race car driving thing. You're very much a car man.
It wasn't really based on a skill set.
No.
I realized. No, as a matter of fact, I am the only human being that I'm aware of who, and I'm sure Mr. Gregory's long gone, but maybe some of his relatives are listening. A pox upon your family, number one. Number two, it was his fault because he did a thing that was not in the curriculum. He said at the end of the semester, going into the summer after the 10th grade year, when I just turned 16, so I needed to get my driver's license, he said he needed a 10-page report, and you could do it on crumple zones or passive restraints or seatbelts or something.
This is the craziest driver ed.
I know. And I was like, I'm not physically capable of 10 pages of anything. I couldn't read 10 pages, much like create a 10-page report. So I was just like, well, I'm out on that. But I was here every day. I took quizzes and stuff. So he's just going to, but he said, you don't turn that report in, nobody's passing it. Now, that was not a state mandate. He did that, which is insane, because all he needed to do was move everyone along so that you could go from driver's ed to driver's training, where you got into the car with the two steering wheels. That's all he needed to do, is essentially warehouse these kids and push them into the double-wheeled car. But he decided on his own to have this 10-page requirement at the end. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I don't own a typewriter. I can't read. I can't write. I'm not going to do this. But he'll just move me along. And God bless him, he didn't. So, and then I had to go to some strip mall in Van Nuys.
Joke's on him, because to this day, you still can't read or write 10
Yeah, the
pages.
joke is on him.
Yeah.
But I am the only person I know who has lived in Los Angeles his entire adult life and been driving for over 40 years and have never filed an insurance claim.
Wow.
And have never gotten to an accident and have never made contact with another automobile.
That's
while
crazy.
I was driving, and have zero. You could look up my insurance record. There's nothing there. There's no discussion.
You've never even been hit by someone else. So you're waiting at a red light and somebody rear ends you.
No, but that's me, because I have hypervigilance and I see when people aren't where they should be, and I avoid it before it comes to me. People don't believe that. They go, oh, well, I've been in accidents, but they're never my fault. I'm just driving along the freeway and this guy changed lanes right into me. And what could I do? And I'm like, I'm not saying it's your fault, but I'm saying this isn't luck. It's not that I've avoided accidents. I've avoided accidents that I didn't cause 1,000 times, because I looked ahead or looked behind and profiled people and saw them doing shit that I was trying to avoid and would avoid. and would always avoid. It's not, I would say
You don't think there's any luck involved in this?
there is such a thing as being completely faultless in an accident.
Yeah.
There's such a thing. There's such a thing as sitting at a red light and just having some guy have a seizure behind you and just plow into you. That there is such a thing. But I am saying that 70% of the stuff that's not your fault is avoidable if you drive a certain way. And if you profile the fuck out of everyone around you, as Chris knows famously when we were driving home from Bakersfield and we got next to a car I didn't like.
That's all it took.
We just got next to a car.
You didn't like the vibe of that.
I was in the back seat at 3 a.m. drinking. And I wasn't driving. Mike August was driving.
You're in the back seats.
I was in the back seat, not driving. I was back seat,
Still hyper-vigilant.
drinking and not driving after doing a show in Bakersfield. And at 3 a.m., I told Mike, get away from this guy. He was fucking idiot. He was just running next to a guy in the middle of the open highway. And I profiled the car. I didn't like the car. And I told Mike, get away. And Mike got away. And 5 seconds later, tire blew out. And the guy careened all the way across the freeway. Would have plowed right into us. Then Mike and anyone else would have said, all I'm doing is driving home from Bakersfield 3 a.m. This guy blows a tire and slams right into the side of me.
This is like the opening of Final Destination 6.
Yes. Now, it wouldn't have been Mike's fault. And then Mike would have told you up and down there's nothing he could have done about it because he was just driving next to a guy and the tire blew out. But I'm here to tell you I did something about it from the back seat drinking, told him to get away from the guy. Now, based on a complete another profile. And it wasn't an old gardener's truck. It was a new BMW.
When I was a kid, we were all driving the car. My mom was driving, and this car comes up, and it's sort of riding next to us. And my mom, aggressively put her brakes on and moved to the other lane. And I was like, what are you doing? She goes, that guy's on his way to a funeral. And I said, how do you know that? And what she was saying is the way he's driving, he's on his way to his own funeral. And then he sped off. And we ended up coming around, and the car had plowed into the thing and was smoking and fire. And I was like, do you see the future? And she's like, I just sensed that was not a good car to be near.
Yeah, you got a profile. Yeah. You can see, and obviously people can see erratic driving.
Yeah.
But this guy coming home from Bakersfield was not driving erratically. I just didn't like his car.
I'd love to see the number of people that have failed that driver's ed course, that have 0 on their insurance record and have a celebrity Long Beach Cup trophy.
Thank you.
There's got to be nobody else who's ever failed.
I think you're talking to the only one. But I failed driver's ed, and then I failed biology, and then I was coming up to graduation, and I had to pass Spanish. And if I didn't pass Spanish, then I wouldn't be able to participate 4 days later with the graduation. So Miss Valdivia or something, she did give me the mercy fuck. She's like, he's leaving. By the way, where am I going? I'm not going to Harvard or anything. So she gave me a D in Spanish, and so I was able to participate. But I never got the diploma because I owed the book room $19 for some We the People history book that I never returned. And so they didn't give me my diploma, but I physically got to walk. But again, I was like, what do I need my diploma for? I'm not doing anything.
I don't know where my diploma is. That's for sure.
Yeah, you don't need a high school diploma. Certainly for my path, I didn't need a physical diploma. I wasn't going to, it's not like my dad was going to frame it and hang it in his office or something, But
will you be framing your children's diploma and hanging it in your office?
Well, high school doesn't even. First off, no, and secondly, who needs a fucking high school diploma anymore? And then thirdly, just on COVID alone, they were home for like a year and a half, so they didn't really even go to high school. I played sports, so I sort of needed it for football and then baseball in the second semester. But I also then I was thinking back on like what I do for my graduation. I think my mom and my dad hated each other, so I think what they would do was they didn't want to go to stuff, so they would go, well, the other one's going to go, I'm not going, but then neither one of them would go, I think. I think my dad, I don't know if my dad went. I think we went out to the smokehouse in Toluca Lake that was my dinner. And then after that, I got this card I got a Vince, Bruno, and Pat Bruno, my whatever cousins, gave me a decorative tin of popcorn. So it was a large tin popcorn container that had 3 different flavors of popcorn. They had the caramel corn.
They had the cheese corn.
That went
and the
first,
regular corn.
then the cheese, then the
paper divider.
I sat in my garage in North Hollywood. I lived off that popcorn tin, which is like a novelty size, and then later use it as a toilet because I didn't have plumbing in the garage, and I kind of wore my welcome out with my dad and my stepmom, who lived in the main house. I just wore out my welcome of coming in and out of the house. So I kind of just bivouacked it in the garage with no bathroom and no air conditioning.
I like on your graduation day, you got a card that you'd eventually use to cut cocaine with and a popcorn thing that you
that was my miniature card. Yeah, but I got a card. I got an actual card from my uncle Gabi, step uncle. My family's everything was a mess. There weren't any
step
real
Uncle Gabi.
Yeah, weren't any blood, anything. Anyway, but it was a picture, and it's from. I put it in my book. It's called Not Taco Bell Material. I think somebody queued it up here or has it here. Something. It was a very eerie. It was an eerie harbinger of what was to come.
So it's like a comic strip with 3 slides.
Yeah, but Gabi, I don't know. He was a hard ass. He was a parole officer, and he got me a card. I'm going to be generous and say there was $10 in it, but it was probably $5. But it said, and can you read this card, Chris? It shows a character who just graduated having a good time.
Right. I think he has a yo-yo in one hand and a diploma in the other. Very happy. It says, nowadays, to get anywhere, a graduate has to have talent. You have talent.
Which was true. All right.
A graduate has to have friends. And it's a picture of the graduate hugging a dog. You have friends.
True.
And lastly, a graduate has to have an unyielding desire to work. And it's an arm handing a shovel over to the graduate.
Right. Now, I don't think Gabi knew it at the time, but that was my destiny, is picking up a shovel. And I literally went to a job site and I dug ditches. Sort of comically, because people, you go, well, ditch digger, but like how much ditch digging is there on construction sites? That's how I started. We needed footings in the front yard, and I ended up just digging. So Gabi got it right with the shovel.
Freaking Gabi.
And when you got to that job site, you're like, I wish I'd done better in Spanish.
Oh my God. I didn't get my diploma. My buddy Ray took a piss in front of everybody.
At graduation?
At graduation.
Speech, yeah.
Entire in front of the football. We did it in front of the bleachers, and there must have been 800 parents sitting up in that bleachers, because I went to my graduating class was like 400 or 500 people or something, and Ray was in the front row, and he took a piss, but he did it under his gown. So he sat there,
elite move,
spread his legs a little, had the gown draped down over his knees, and just took a whiz in front of 1,000 people.
What's
Ray doing today?
Construction. That's what we did.
Yeah.
I just got out of it at some point, but then it was back to the garage. Lived in the garage. Went to junior college to play football.
What position?
Flamed out. They had me at outside linebacker, I think is where I was. It was brutal. It was hot, and it's about the only time in life I quit something. I quit. I wasn't starting. I had all these seniors or second year guys like in front of me. I was good, okay, but not as good as the guys that were in front of me. The coaches were abusive by my standards, and that's a pretty high standard. I mean, they were.
You were at home shitting in a popcorn tin, and you're like, these guys, they're too much.
Well, I mean, these guys throw dip at you and stuff. They'd yell, they're screaming at everyone. The guy'd reach for his fucking lower lip when he started getting angry. It was like a sheriff. Undo the snap on the holster, the hand starts drifting down. Like, he'd be yelling at us, and he'd go like, God damn it, Carolla, I told you, you have outside contain. How many goddamn times you got? And you see his hands start to go up toward his mouth. Like, we're going to get dipped, man. Here comes the Big Dipper. He got pissed off. He'd fucking pull his dip out and throw it at you. And there's nothing you could do about it, So I remember one day after in 2 days, and it was so fucking hot, and they wouldn't give you water, and it was just clear I wasn't going anywhere, and I just told him, I just rode my bicycle into practice and just said, I think I'm out. I think I'm quitting. I never quit. I'd been playing football for 10 years. I never quit. And he gave me this speech about being an idiot, and I would be starting next season, and what the fuck was I doing? And I was just like, I don't think there's anything beyond this for me. Maybe I'll start next year, and then what? Get more dip thrown at me? I just rode my bike home, and I just sat in my garage, which was like a sweat box, and I just went, I don't know what, I got nothing. So I started making signs because my dad had a push lawnmower, and like a rake or something, and I just started I made a sign that said like, I'll mow your lawn, or I'll cheap gardener, just call this number, and I just put it up on Coldwater Canyon on a telephone pole, like everyone who comes down.
Right, because you're a graduate. You had an unyielding desire to work.
Yeah, I tried.
You woke up the next day and you're like, I'm going to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I
started my own landscaping firm.
I had no place to go, and I had no jobs, and the economy was the worst, much worse than it is now. Well, the economy was like, the interest rates now, like they go, they're 6% or 6.5%. They can't buy a house. It's too high. It's set by the banks, obviously, or the feds. A T-bill was like 18 or 19% at home savings and loan in Studio City when I graduated high school. It was literally, I don't know what. See if you can see what an average mortgage was, Dawson, in 1982. 1983. There were no jobs. So now there's just shit economy, but everyone's hiring. You can't find enough people. And I was willing to do anything, but there was 0 jobs. So I just put up a sign. And I would say, I'll do your lawn. I'll come to your house and just clean shit for, $6 an hour or whatever it was. And then I sat home for a week and the phone never rang. And then I got on my bike or my motorcycle or something. I went back up to Topanga Canyon, Coldwater Canyon. I realized I'd screwed up my phone number.
Oh, my God.
I wrote the wrong phone number on there. And that's why the phone wasn't ringing. Someone else's phone.
Somebody else's.
Probably ringing pretty good. I corrected that.
Everybody was complaining there was no job. Some guy who didn't even need a job was getting called. He's like, I don't know, man. People keep calling me out of the blue for work.
Employed, yeah. I'm phone's ringing. I'm at work all day, and I got a phone call from a lady in like Sun Valley or something, and she's like a nice Asian lady or something, and I put the push lawnmower in the back of my dad's car, and I just would drive there once a week with my rake and my push lawnmower and pick weeds or whatever. And I'd be like, she'd be like, "Oh, you've been here for 2 hours?" I'd be like, "Yep." $6 an hour? I'd go, "Yep." She'd go, "All right, here's $12. See you next week." And I'd be like, "All right." And that was it.
And you get back.
What was that? What was
in 1981? It was 16.63%.
16.6.
In 82, it was 16.04.
All right, hold the phone for 1 second. You do understand when you buy, $1 million house and it's a 3% bank note, you're going to pay, you're going to pay $4,000, $3,500, whatever,
Yeah.
is a mortgage. When it goes to 6%, 6.5%, like it is now, you're going to pay twice. You'll pay
Yeah.
$8,000.
Yeah.
All right. So you're paying $8,000 on a $1 million loan. Can you imagine what 17% is if you're trying to buy something or do something?
Now the prices were a whole lot lower, but
Yeah, for sure. But also, think about interest rates. Everyone's fucking complaining now. Like the Fed's got to lower the interest rates. The Fed's raised interest rates to try to stop stagflation and blah, blah, blah. They want to raise it from 5 to 5.5, but every half point causes a big problem with the Wall Street or whatever. It's like 17%. What was it? So that was 80 and 81.
That was the highest it ever was.
Okay.
81 was the highest.
Then we got Reagan in there, and he started to fix it. He was like, fuck this. So he got
Right.
the economy going. But, yeah, I had nothing to do in a point where the rates were through the roof and nobody had any jobs. And then I just hung out in my garage.
I don't think 2 months from now your son's going to be putting your push mower into the back of your car and going to Sun Valley.
Yeah, and then eventually I got a job with A&B Carpets, cleaning carpets. That was a bad job. And then that job was another one of those $6 an hour jobs. But you didn't get paid until you got there, and then you didn't get paid for the drive home or whatever. So we'd clean the carpets at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, and we'd get in the van at like 8 or 9 at night because you had to do everything in the middle of the night because you had to wait till everything was closed.
Right.
Like I cleaned the carpets at Fredericks of Hollywood on Hollywood
deep.
Boulevard.
Wow.
But you had to do it after 10 o'clock. And then I'm just pushing a carpet machine, a steamer down Hollywood Boulevard, going into Fredericks, got all these fucking weird bums like banging on the window while I'm in there trying to scrub the carpet. It would take like 3 hours, but you only got paid for those 3 hours. So you'd spend a whole night cleaning carpets, you get $18, you know? But Art Fuss was very generous because he did implement the $10 minimum. That he'd say, look, I understand you getting in our van in North Hollywood, Studio City, and driving to Pasadena and cleaning a small Pizza Hut. It only takes about 45 minutes. And then coming back is, $6, probably unfair. So I'll implement the $10 minimum. So then you could get in the van in Studio City, drive to Pasadena, took 35, 40 minutes, unload, clean the Pizza Hut, and come back to Van Nuys and drop the van off that night. And you're all in about 5 hours, but you got you're all in about 3 hours, but you got your $10 minimum now. So that helped.
So would you?
We asked him, so you're going to your son's graduation?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of your kid's graduation, does this card that Gabi gave you still apply? Like, what kind of advice are you going to be implementing to both of your kids now that they're being sent out into the world?
They're all right. Listen, kids are kids. And when I say kids, I mean anyone under 40 is all fucking ruined now.
There's a
they don't do
adulthood
shit anymore. The biggest problem is money is invisible now. So when you take money and you make it invisible, then there's no more sort of allegiance to it. You know what I mean? Like I could get anybody to do anything for $20 when I was a kid. If you had $20, you could go. I tell every one of my friends, I got $20. See that elderly guy sleeping on that park bench? Go take a shit on his chest. And they'd be like, give me the $20. And I'd go, no, do it first because I don't trust you. But they'd go do it. They'd do anything. I'd do anything for $20. And once in a while, I would say to my kids or my son, I'd go outside and go take the shit out, go do the whatever, and I'll give you $10. And he'd be like, well, what do I care? But also, they'd be a fool to do it because money's just sort of just kind of around.
Yeah, if I don't do it, you're still going to pay for the thing I want
in their life
later on.
Yeah, they don't even. I mean,
working in stand-up, you get paid in cash a fair amount, and I found that if I get $200 or $300 handed to me for a gig, and that goes in my wallet, that gets spent a whole lot slower than $200 or $300 out of the magical plastic machine.
Oh, it's bizarre. I mean, I don't know if it's bizarre, but it's definitely true. Like if I go out and play someplace for a weekend and make 30 grand, and I come home and I'd say to my son, this a few years ago, but I'd go, I made 30 grand this weekend. He'd go like, all right. But if I pulled out the cash from the merch, and there was like $211 and I threw it down on the table, he'd go, ooh, wow. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the
Daddy
default,
Warbucks came home from the weekend.
It's kind of the default setting.
Sometime you have to get paid your 30 grand in a suitcase just to blow your son's mind.
Oh,
just put
God.
Put it in a fucking briefcase for
You're
me.
right.
But they're walking, they're graduating, all is good.
Yeah.
Who's graduating with a higher GPA?
Listen, I don't even know if I can't imagine my son has a GPA. I don't know. I don't know that he knows what that is.
He did not get one.
Well, there's also no SATs anymore. They just figured out.
How do they decide who goes to what college or whatever? It's just pay to play?
I don't know what the
Are
rules
both the kids going off
anymore.
to school next year?
They're going off to junior college, which we need to call junior college. We change it to community college.
Yeah.
We give it a sort of happy spin. You know what I mean? It's junior college,
nice
bro.
ring to it.
Yeah, don't get it twisted.
Aw.
Community college. Oh, that sounds like a noble endeavor. Not like you being a shit student in high school. No, it should.
It feels like, community college sounds like you're going to college for everyone. It's charity college.
Oh, but it's like giving the euphemistic, non-embarrassing titles to everything is not a step toward eradicating that. You know what I'm saying? We call.
Honestly, junior college was kind of too nice. It should have been just shit college.
Yeah, I once heard a comedian say high school with ashtrays. It made me laugh. But that's yes. See, when we say. It's like we take. Okay, we had
like you hear JUCO. That sounds more.
JUCO.
We had
JUCO.
We had illegal aliens, and then we had illegal migrants, and then we had like migrants, and then we had workers or like undocumented workers. Like every time we flavor it to be a little nicer. The reason you do that is so we don't judge. You know what I mean? I don't know where it is, Dawson. You can find it, but they want criminals to be called like oh God, there's like the new title,
newly unincarcerated individuals.
It's justice system involved individuals.
Okay.
Like literally.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
we're literally going. We no longer like the stigma
involved.
What justice?
It is justice involved. Yes.
yeah, justice
Justice involved.
or justice system involved.
We're not far,
Right,
we're not
right.
far from everybody being Americans and then actual Americans being cis Americans.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
No, I'm a
so-
cis American. I'm from here.
You go to community college, and then you have a higher likelihood of being justice-involved individuals off of that. Now, what
That
I'm
sounds
saying is
better than-
I like junior college and criminals because that has a stigma to it, and stigmas kind of keep people away from things. That's why we do it.
Justice involved individual. So you could be a JUCO GI.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yes, justice involved.
All right, so let's say you're sitting at the graduation. Somebody comes up next to you before your kids walk, and they go, "Hey, our commencement speaker, Weird Al, has canceled
Weird Al.
because
Yeah.
of a crazy accordion accident. Can you go up there and instill some wisdom into these kids?" And you say yes. What is the thesis? What do you do?
Well, look.
He's going to pull the cartoon out of his wallet.
I'd have
He's
to
like-
start off by saying we got to bag every cell phone on this football field because the shit Harrison Butker is going to be Martin Luther King compared. His speech will be "I Have a Dream" by Martin Luther King compared to the shit this angry dude's about to lay out.
I think you go the other way. I think pull out your cell phones. I'm
Pull it
about
out.
to.
I'm leaning into this.
I'm leaning into this.
Listen, First thing is I would start with the...
I'm going to have a lot of new listeners to the Adam Carolla show on Monday.
I would start in my best, like, drill sergeant voice, and I would, listen, you miserable pukes, your last easy day was yesterday, I would scream. And then I would tell everyone...
And then you'll throw dip at the closest kid.
dip. I would tell everyone to drop and give me 20 just to get their attention. And then I would yell, when I'm done with this speech, if you're going to talk to me, you address me in a clear and present tone, not the voice you use to con drug money off your liberal parents. Now, you got to get out, you got to get a job, and you got to fight to fucking keep it. The whole reason this nation is turning into a fucking dumpster fire is because your parents did a piss poor job raising your lazy, sorry, self-entitled asses. So get out there. And by the way, I don't want to hear about your fucking pronouns. No one gives a fuck about your pronouns. No one cares about you. All the tattoos, all the nose studs, all the aggressive piercings. Might as well jack off into a ceiling fan because that's not getting you 1 inch closer to the finish line. First thing, let me stop and apologize. I'm going to excuse all Asians from this conversation right now. You guys pick it up and leave. Hop in the rickshaw and fucking head down to Benihana's and start the celebration. Everybody out. I'm gonna give 10 minutes. Everyone give them a path. Make room. Asians, none of this pertains to you. Clear out. Thank you for the service.
Everybody with over a 4.0 GPA, you can go to Benihana.
Go to Benihana right now. And as a matter of fact, Sonny and Natalia Carolla, I need you to put your hands up right now. All right, Asians, before you leave, get a good look at these two and please show mercy during the hiring process. So at some point, one of these two is going to come to you with a hat in a hand looking for a job. Please hire them, all right? Now that you've trained your eyes on my kids, move it on out, Asians. We don't need to be here. All right, now, everyone gather around and take a knee. Take a knee. Your helmet's not a chair. Grab a knee. Let's get in. Doing a little chalk talk, I call it, up there. All right, so... do not externalize, internalize everything. I've driven the highways and byways of this city and this nation. I've never been in a car accident once in my goddamn life. You want to know why? I internalize. I don't externalize. I don't make my problems other people's fault. I internalize. Now, stop spending so much time on your fucking phone. Stop spending so much time in the mirror. Stop bragging about shit you shouldn't brag about. Like, I love playing video games. I love online pornography. It's rotting your feeble fucking minds. And remember, your boss is your fucking boss, and stop showing up for work in cargo shorts and fucking flip-flops and wife beaters. And yes, I can say wife beaters.
He's looking at Byron right now.
I'm looking at Byron. Show up, dress for success, ready to go. I want to get everyone in a three-point stance right now. Everyone get down in a three-point stance all the way down the field, and I'm going to come by and I'm going to kick your down hand out, and you're going to fall on your face, and I'm going to scream your form is bad and your balance is off. I'm going to do that for everyone, and then we're going to come back up on this podium, and who's got the, you know what I'm going to do? Who's got the lowest GPA?
3-point stances are ableist.
Who's got the lowest GPA out here?
They're like you.
Sonny Carolla. Shit. All right.
Like you, sir. You failed driver's ed.
I'm going to take everybody's... I'm going to take their diploma, and I'm just going to wipe my ass with it right now. You can still have it if you want, but I'm wiping my sweaty, hairy, hard-working, non-pronoun using ass on this. All right, so once again...
Harrison Butker's like, this is a bit much.
Yeah, he's like, reel it in. And ladies out there, I know you think you got choices, but I'll give you two. Fucking stay home and rattle the goddamn pots and pans, or get the fuck to work. Don't do the I don't clean, I don't cook, I'm not your maid, I'm not your masseuse, and not work. You want to be super successful and bring home a bunch of fucking money? We'll take some of that money, we'll give it to the cleaning lady. We'll take some of that money, we'll give it to the pool man, we'll give it to the gardener. But if you ain't fucking bringing home any of the bacon, then you better fry that shit up in a pan. Thank you. I'll be back next year.
Inspiring.
Thank you.
He stared straight through my soul while he did that whole
That's
thing.
right.
I was like, I miss my dad.
Yeah. So, then for me, off to a construction site and never looked back. I don't know. I don't really think, hey, look, they got rid of all the shop classes. There is no more of that in high school. There's no more real skills being learned. It's just that sort of pre-indoctrination going on with like global warming and speeches about Hamas and shit by like 28-year-old dumb chick teachers. So I don't think they need it. You just got to show up somewhere and intern now. I think that's the plan.
Skip right to interning.
All right, we got liked tweets.
Oh, we do.
We got lots of other stuff to get into, and I got some notes I put down here too as well. And we'll do all that right after this. Well, doesn't it seem like every week there's a major leak of customer info from phone or healthcare or other companies? That's right. People are getting all your information these days. I mean, they ain't breaking into your home anymore. They're getting your info. Well, that's where Aura comes in. All-in-one online safety solution helps protect your information about you, your family, and it stops it from being sold to data brokers. Data brokers are legally required to remove your personal information if you ask, but they make it difficult and time-consuming. Aura does the work for you. Aura also helps reduce annoying robocalls, telemarketers, and junk mail by sending takedown requests on your behalf. Plus, Aura monitors for identity theft before it happens and scans the dark web for your email addresses, passwords, social security number, and other sensitive information. So protect yourself with Aura, right, Dawson?
For a limited time, Aura is offering our listeners a 14-day trial plus a free check of your data to see if your personal information has been leaked online, all for free, while you visit aura.com/trust. That's aura.com/trust to sign up for a 14-day free trial and start protecting you and your loved ones. aura.com/trust. Certain terms apply. Be sure to check the site for details.
Homes.com knows that when it comes to home shopping, it's never just about the house or condo. It's about the home. And what makes a home is more than just a house or property. It's the location. It's the neighborhood. If you have kids, it's also schools, nearby parks, transportation options, all the above. That's why Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth information they need to find the right home. And when I say in-depth, I'm talking about deep. That's right. Each listing features comprehensive information about the neighborhood, complete with a video guide. They also have details about local schools with test scores, state rankings, and student-to-teacher ratio. They even have an agent directory with the sales history of each agent. So when it comes to finding a home, not just a house, this is everything you need to know, all in one place. Homes.com. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
Bertram's back.
You're welcome, ladies.
Here's a sneak preview of the new animated show from Adam Carolla and the Daily Wire.
Sorry, just need to find a thingy to fix my gaming chair.
Flathead thingy or Phillips head thingy?
Who's Philip?
Subscribe now at dailywire.com and tell a friend, Mr. Bertram. Now back to the Adam Carolla Show.
All right, Joe Praino's hanging in with us. Joe's got dates all over the place. JoePraino.com, where you go to find those dates.
Also, his podcast, Dirty Sports.
Oh, right. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right. We got like tweets, but we also got some stuff. I'm starting to notice. Are you guys starting to notice that there's a problem with a sort of situational awareness, that people don't sort of know where you are, where they are, like whatever?
A lack of situational awareness.
Lack. Sorry. Yes. This is the second time this has happened. I went down to the garage in Malibu at about almost 10 at night. And the reason I went down in the middle of the night or that late at night is because the garbage guy was coming the following morning, of course, 7 in the morning, never noon, 7 in the morning.
Whenever you're in your deepest REM.
Yeah, whenever I'm on REMiest, they show up. And I had a big cardboard box of something got delivered, and I was getting the knife out and I was breaking it down and getting it into the trash can before the guys came the next morning. So I'm just there. It's like 10
the only man in Malibu breaks down his own boxes.
Keeping it real. 10 at night.
Down to earth.
I got the garage light on. So the street's dark. Everything's dark, but the garage light's on, and the garage is right off the street, about 10 feet back. And I'm just in there. And all of a sudden, a beater car, just a car that you've never seen in Malibu, perhaps a Chevy Malibu, ironically. A car that's beaten on just pulls up and just stops right in front of me in the garage in the street with fucking limo tinted smoked windows, and it just sits there. And this is the second time this has happened to me. And I'm like, what is this? What is going on here? And it just sits there. And it sits there for a while, and it just sits there. And the guy doesn't get out of his car. The guy doesn't do anything. And I'm like, I'm about to get jacked.
I've seen enough movies.
I've seen enough movies.
The worst drive-by ever.
And he's just sitting there, and I'm just standing there, and I have no context. And I'll tell you why I have no context. And what happens is at some point, a young, wearing a tank top, muscular, very hoodie-looking black guy just stands up, gets out of the car, and starts walking to the trunk of the car. And then he pulls out a whole bunch of groceries that somebody in the next unit fucking ordered. And this happens all day. I've never ordered any groceries online. I don't do no Grubhub, no groceries or whatever. Just go fucking get the shit.
Right.
But other people do it. And so these guys who are sort of poor guys who have shitty cars drive in at all times of the day and night into nice neighborhoods, and then they stop and they sit in the car, and this guy's looking at the address and looking down at his app and looking at the address and trying to figure out where he's at. For me, I'm zero context. All I am is there's a dude in a super shitty car that just pulled up and stopped, and he's not getting out. And he's not doing anything. I guess
like Jason Bourne looking for the nearest weapon already.
I am. I think I picture him loading, like he lost the clip for his Glock or something, and he's trying to find it in the passenger seat. Like, what is he doing? I didn't order anything.
Yeah.
And
you're gonna freak people out.
There's no delivery. There's no fucking magnet sign on the sign that says, drop off king or something. There's nothing. It's just a shit car in a neighborhood that has no shitty. It's all Teslas. And it's all Teslas and like Lamborghinis.
And 5 years ago, you could call Malibu PD and say, there's a black guy idling outside my house. And they said, we'll send 2 cars.
Right.
And now they just go, it's Uber Eats, sir. Go back in your house.
Yes, but it fucks me up. And then I realize that people don't have like a situational awareness. Like this guy's looking at me just standing in the garage, sort of with my hands kind of by my side, just staring at him the whole time. Like, should I make a move?
Yeah.
Like if I was wired a different way, I would start running.
Yeah.
Like, cause what? Oh, so what? So it's embarrassing or whatever it is. But in my mind, what else is this guy going to do except for get out of his car with a fucking gun?
Right.
And I have nothing else. Yeah, or dip. I don't know I have no idea other than there is this car. It is not from this neighborhood, and it's beat up, and I can't see into it, and I have no fucking idea what this guy's doing at 10 at night. That's all I got.
You're going to freak people out doing that.
Later, yes. 5 minutes later, still, it's 10 o'clock at night, and I'm done with my garage shit, and I start to head up the staircase, and the staircase goes up. If you go to the right, you go to one unit. You go to the left, you go to another unit, which is my unit. And I start to step up the stairs, and I hear a woman's voice at the top. And I can't see her, but she's around the corner, and she's saying to the person who lives in the other unit, "All right, Janice, then I'll see you when I see you." And you know what I did? I walked back down the stairs, and I stood in the garage because I knew if I started walking up the stairs, she'd turn around and start down, and it'd be a little jump jump moment for her. And I was like, she's a woman and it's night and she's coming down the stairs and I'm going to turn the corner and I'm going to scare her as a 6'2" dude. And I just went into the garage. I literally just went and stood there, and I saw her like walk past and get in her car, and then I went back up because I was situationally aware of not wanting to fucking scare this person. Who the fuck are these people? You're driving a piece of shit car and you're just stopped in front of an open garage. There's a guy standing and you just sit. They just sit there too, because it takes them 5 minutes to figure out the app and the directions and which unit and you know what number's this unit and what number's that unit and all the shit. Fucking second time this happened to me. I don't know. What can we do? What can we say? Is there something?
I mean, I know that we just talked about how you got out of high school and immediately started digging holes and cleaning carpets, but I think you've got to take into consideration the quality of human that ends up driving for Uber Eats.
Yeah. Yeah, this guy was dropping off groceries, but same thing. Yeah.
But I think they need some sort of sign. That just has like
because that's what it was back in the day, right? You couldn't just send a shit car through a nice neighborhood to just troll. So they were like, we're gonna put a light up Domino's thing on
Pizza Hut. Yeah, I can't remember what comedian told me he'd keep one in the trunk of his car when he drove drunk. I'm like, oh yeah, that's smart.
Yeah,
it looks like you're looking for something, and you're out at 2 a.m, and the cops like, this guy's going to a frat house. He's not driving drunk.
Yeah.
He's trying to look at all the addresses. Yeah.
Dawson, remember we were talking about Vicki Lawrence from the Carol Burnett Show, who had a #1 hit in 1973. Remember that discussion? Vicki Lawrence was a fixture on the Carol Burnett Show. Female comedian, was sort of Carol Burnett's kind of right-hand woman.
Okay.
And she was a comedian. I don't know if she's still alive, but she came out. She had a #1 hit.
She's still
in like 74.
She's 75.
She's 75?
Yeah.
Oh, she must have been fucking young then, because
you're talking about the song
Nights.
The night the lights went out in Georgia. That was 73.
That was 73.
So she was born in 49.
Oh man. So 50. So she was 24?
Yeah.
Wow. So she was on the Carol Burnett Show when she was like 22 or something? Because Carol Burnett Show is like from the early mid 70s.
Yeah, she joined Carol Burnett Show in 67. So
67.
Wow.
She was 18?
Yeah. She had an unyielding desire to work.
Wow. What the fuck? Oh, man. So she's 18 years old and on the Carol Burnett Show. That's kind of crazy for a female comedian back then. And she was a comedic actress or whatever. But she had a #1 hit. And it was the night the lights went out in Georgia that I was listening to the other day. And all the years I've heard this song, I miss a certain part right at the beginning. It's now, we used to write all these songs. There used to be all these 70s songs, you kids, were about like ode to Billy Joe who jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge and stuff. They would paint these stories, and it was of the South, and it was some evil sheriff. I Shot the Sheriff was a little that way. One tin soldier. Billy, don't be a hero. They tell a whole story about a guy, and he'd go to war, and he got killed, and and it was like a
lot of ballads.
Like odes to things.
And a lot of odes. Not a lot of odes anymore.
No odes.
Odes and ballads would make a great breakfast cereal.
Yeah, I would eat that. Part of a nutritious breakfast.
Right.
Odes. No odes. But so she's singing The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, and she's singing. Now, Chris knows this song because of me.
Yes.
Joe, you know this song?
I don't. I mean, maybe if I hear it.
Well, he's coming back from work. He's been gone for 2 weeks. He's got his young bride back at home, but he decides to stop off and have a drink, which used to be a pretty big part of songwriting too. A lot of stopping off and having a drink, which was acceptable back then. And so he stops off to have a drink, and he runs into his friend and his best friend. And his friend says, "Hey, before you go home, sit down, because I got some bad news for you." And the bad news is his woman, while he's been gone, has been running around with another dude.
Thank God he stopped for that drink.
Right, but then he added something that I would argue didn't need to be added to this equation. The guy's his good friend, and he wanted to tell him his best friend. And
I'm a good friend. That's why I'm going to tell you this.
Yeah, and before you get your feathers in a bunch, understand I fucked her too.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why that's a soothing thought for a guy who's seeing red.
help.
You know what I mean?
Does not help. And
Doesn't help.
He did it in the wrong order. He should have said
Yeah.
Seth after he admitted that he did it, if he really felt the need to.
Nah, I gotta tell you, your wife, she's sleeping with Amos.
Yeah.
That guy. And your wife, she's awful. She's
Yeah.
sleeping with Amos.
My-
Also, I fucked her.
Yeah. We did discuss that.
So good.
I don't know why
Reenactment.
that needed to be added and why.
I feel like when he did it, we're now hearing it recounted in song, but when he did it, he must have been like, Amos is fucking her, and I fucked her too.
Yeah, he
a
did.
little.
Yeah, and plus Andy started seeing red, so he's all agitated, and this is what you say to calm him down.
Yeah, whoa, calm down. I
Yeah,
did too.
yeah.
Yeah, no, you get him a shot.
No, you
Yeah.
get him pissed off about Amos first.
Yeah.
Now you've broken it. And then you're like,
Exactly.
I know, dude. She's fucking everybody. Dude.
Before
I'm
you
fucking
go
her.
fighting Amos over this, you should know she's fucking a lot of people.
Yeah.
Including me. You can't fight us all.
Yeah.
Don't even get started.
Well, my thing was like, she's fucking Amos, and do not believe a word that guy says.
And he's going to say something when you confront him. He's going to say something.
he's going to try.
he's gonna try to tell you everybody
tries to
says.
get
It's
out of
really
everything.
just Amos.
Yeah, it's pretty much just Amos.
Also, the bar for friendship is pretty low on this song.
Well, he starts with, I'm your best
I'm
friend.
your best friend. I'm your best friend who is screwing your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like he was gone for a year.
No, 2 weeks, dude.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Just
He couldn't
driving a
stop him from fucking his wife in 2 weeks. Couldn't stop. No.
And Amos.
And Amos.
Maybe he was trying to stop Amos, and then he was like, "Well,
Yeah.
Looks
as long
like-
as I'm here.
hey Amos,
Move over.
hey Amos,
Roll
listen,
over.
you
Yeah.
gotta quit fucking my best friend's wife. She's
Yeah.
such a good fucking lay." Oh,
Yeah,
really?
maybe-
How good? What are we talking about here?
We got to blame Amos. But again, I'd heard that song 100,000 times, and I was just driving along the other day, and I thought, I missed this part about him.
Is Andy a good friend?
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
don't think he's a good friend. I think he's not only having sex with the wife, but he's dropping a dime on Amos. You know what I mean? He's kind of lose-lose
Yeah.
in this department. You know?
Self-destruction. there.
Scumbag
Yeah.
and a snitch.
Yeah. All right, now we can do some. Like
Oh well,
tweets.
before that, just some history of that song. Bobby Russell wrote that song, who is Vicky's husband,
Oh,
and it was
okay.
originally offered to Liza Minnelli and then Cher, but Sonny Bono said it would be too offensive to Cher's Southern fans, so they
Why?
just did it themselves.
why would it
Wow.
be offensive to? Father,
All the
okay, let
cheating.
me explain something. Cher has Southern
Yeah, I guess
fans.
so.
I don't think she does.
Southern
And by the
demo.
way, Sonny Bono, you signed off on Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves and Half Breed. You signed off on 2 offensive songs already. You're singing about half-breed Indians, and you're singing about gypsies rolling into town and having sex with dudes and swindling people and paying people. You've attacked gypsies and indigenous people.
Yeah.
But you're worried about the delicate sensibilities of the Southern folk.
Well, you got to remember in the 70s in the South, throwing around racism was fine, but we're not going to talk about fucking another man's wife.
Yeah, I don't-
How dare you?
I don't know what it's. I don't know.
I don't know. Reba McEntire did it in the early 90s, and it was one of her biggest hits ever.
What was that?
The Nights the Light Went Out.
Oh, she covered it.
She
Reba
covered it,
did
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know she brought it.
Biggest hit ever.
91.
Oh, well, there you
not
go.
the biggest, but
Reba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get Reba.
I love Reba.
I don't dislike her. I just don't really get why I have to like her.
She's a little too exposed right now.
A little too exposed.
Dig in for some Kathy Mattea. She'll make you happy.
Oh, okay. All right, Kathy Mattea. All right, sorry. We got like tweets.
Let's go.
Here's the tweets he liked. He didn't reply because he cannot type. Here's the tweets he liked. Send him by you to piss him off all day and all night. Here's the tweets he liked.
All right, and these are all tweets that Adam likes on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Tweet him
this.
at Adam Carolla. He does look at his Twitter. All right, this one is from Golfing Pete. It's from the Sahan Journal. And the title of the article is Black and Brown Minnesotans Get Worse Sleep Than White People. Researchers at the University of Minnesota say it's hurting their health. And in the article, one example they give is that in many Somali homes in the Twin Cities, smoke detectors with low batteries beep around the clock. Many believe the devices beep when they're working properly.
Okay, okay. Are there more, from a percentage standpoint, of black people that truly would like to get an ID and can't get one? What group is smaller? The group that cannot have access to an ID in the United States in 2024, or the group that has a 90 decibel chirp go off and believe you me, I have timed this many times. It's between 30 and 32 seconds. It's not 5 minutes. It's between 30 and 32 seconds. What percentage of black people hear that and go, this thing's functioning perfectly? And there's nobody in my universe who shows up who can't say something about it. Like what I'm saying is, okay, maybe you're an elderly black person and you're set in your ways, but you have grandkids who would then come over to your apartment at some point and go, hey, Nana, you know what I learned in school today? You're a fucking idiot. That's what I learned in school today. You have to change the battery. Who doesn't know this is what I'm saying. I
think the Venn diagram of people that can't figure out how to get an ID and ones that don't know that their smoke detector shouldn't be chirping is shaped probably a lot like a smoke detector. It's probably a full circle of people that group that are in both groups there.
You can put it back up on the screen, Byron, or whomever. You don't have to.
And what if you hear the smoke alarm going off? It's like, oh, this thing's working really good.
Now it's good. Yeah.
And
it's really found its
maybe
groove.
they don't have access to step stools.
Oh, that's a good.
That could be it too.
That's a good
they
point.
Can't get up there.
So one example in many Somali homes in Twin Cities is the smoke detector.
One person said that it's the landlord's responsibility to fix them, and such misinformation could be corrected with a community-wide effort.
Do we really need to mobilize the community for everything? Do you know what I mean? Or could you just change the fucking 9-volt battery in your own smoke detector?
And there's got to be a limit on what you ask your landlord to do for you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I've been living here a month and my toilet is full of shit.
Yes.
There's a button on the side, and if you hit it, it'll suck it all into the plumbing. No. That is
not
out of my purview.
Please come in.
Didn't know that.
You need to stop by.
I used to have to rent out my condo in San Diego, and I rented to this chick once, and she would call me every other week, ask me to change a light bulb.
I got
she
that
said,
too.
I got ants. What are we going to do about this? I said, well, you're going to go get a can of Raid, and you're going to clean your kitchen.
Yeah.
Stop leaving food out.
I've had renters before, whereas I was the greatest tenant ever because I was always scared if I called the landlord, I'd get into trouble.
I'm the exact same renter.
I treated the landlord like the principal in my high school. Like, I'm not going to go down and talk to Mr. Jenkins. We're going to get fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, leave that guy alone. Don't go near him.
My attitude toward my landlord is like the cops. Like, I don't call them unless it's a desperate situation. I don't need them here snooping around.
I was a fucking journeyman carpenter with super low self-esteem who was scared to get yelled at by the landlord. And like when I was living with Ralph and Cortland in La Crescenta, our water heater took a dump in the house we rented it. And I took my truck up to Foothill and I went to the Builder's Emporium and I bought a water heater and I trucked it back down the goddamn hill and I installed a new water heater in this guy's thing. And then I sent him a note on the following rent week, which was, look, I owe $500, every month. Everyone paid $500 and sent a rent. I'm going to pay you $189.22. Here's the receipt for the price of a new water heater, and there was no charge for picking it up an installation. It's just literally the cost of a new water heater from the Home Depot that I installed. And I was worried that he was going to have a beef with this. That's
all right. For you people listening, this is the spectrum.
Yeah.
The spectrum is replacing your own water heater and not
well,
replacing
then,
your
flash
battery.
forward to I'm the landlord and I'm getting a call like, yeah, the light bulb's out. Could you swing by or have somebody come by? And I'm like, wow, man, do you feel good about yourself?
Yeah.
Man, do you feel good. So this is Somalis.
Why Somalis?
Oh, huge Somali.
They got a big Somali population over there. That's why they got Ilhan Omar and all the other greats.
Yeah, they all
over there ruining Minnesota.
Go to the airport in Minnesota. It's all Somali workers.
Yeah, they love it over there. There's a big problem, which is any group that votes for their own. You understand. There's no direct correlation between your own and good policy.
Sure.
You just vote for your own and you get shit policy, but it's your own. So they're sort of racist. All cultures are way more racist than white people because they vote their own over there. And then they have horrible, horrible governing over there because they vote their own because, like, we got a Somali and we're Somali. It's like, yeah, have you checked Somalia lately? That's what why don't we just take the whole government from Somalia and we'll bring it over to Minnesota and then you guys will be living in a utopia, right? Like, according to your logic, right? You have one of the biggest dopes in Congress running your city or your state because she's Somalian, which, again, the ultimate white privilege, I get to look at Adam Schiff and go, that white, heterosexual, middle-aged guy, he's a fucking retard. I don't have to vote for him. I get to decide.
That's your privilege talking.
That's my privilege talking. But, so, by the way, I don't want to hear any more stories about black and brown people. We get it. Never's good. Birth rates, smoke detectors.
I like
mask
that they put
scores.
black and brown, but then they specifically talk about the Somalis in the under.
But basically, poor people have worse outcomes than other groups for everything. Diabetes, every health outcome, every school-related test, everything is worse when you're poor because when you're living in a garage and you're shitting into a decorative popcorn tin, you do not have as good and as healthy a life as the rich and the powerful do. And
Jack in the Box is not as nutritional. It doesn't have the nutritional value of the Erewhon bone broth.
That's right. I would eat popcorn, and I would shower with a hose in the back of my house because I'd work construction all day and I'd get locked out of the house at night.
But your smoke detector worked.
No smoke detector, as I recall. But I did some point get a little space heater because it would get freezing out there, and I would put my space heater up against the side of my bed, and every once in a while, it's the only thing you could fix, like Fonzie. The old tin space heaters, they're sheet metal, and they had those coiled wires going through them. And somewhere at 3 a.m, they'd start spazzing out. They'd have like a harmonic convergence or something, and they start going, and you go pop, and then you go, oh, okay, and they'd straighten out they'd smooth out if you whacked them. I put that thing so close to my bed, it caught one of my rayon blankets on fire. In the middle of the night, and I had to wake up and dive.
This is why you needed a smoke detector.
I needed a smoke detector. Yeah, I will say smoke detectors probably existed back then. I couldn't see my dad springing for one. That would have been $7 or probably high. It was probably a big ticket item for Jim Carolla. So I couldn't see myself. Couldn't see him buying one. I certainly wouldn't have bought one because I'd be like, that would have been something that had to do with self-preservation that I wouldn't have engaged in. But so this article is about fixing the smoke detector for the black population of Minneapolis. Okay,
it just
all right.
Gave one solution.
And Adam liked this.
Does every article need an accompanying picture? Do I need a picture of a black guy sleeping, or can you just paint use your words to paint a picture. You
Also,
go,
the picture is the opposite of what the story is telling
Yeah,
us,
should be-
right? He
should be a
looks like
black
he's
guy.
sleeping soundly through his
should be on his
smoke
back,
detector beeping,
eyes wide open, counting sheep.
Yeah,
not sleeping.
covering his ears from the beeping noise.
Right. Yeah. It says black and brown Americans are much more likely to sleep poorly than white Americans, and the darker a person's skin color is, the worse their sleep tends to be, according to Dr. Dana A. Johnson.
I love these. There's going to be one day historians are going to just look at a long list, never-ending list of articles that are just there to piss off black people.
Well, the article also says people experience racism and ruminate about it at night may have problems falling asleep.
Wow.
Oh, so
There's that too.
Yeah, like there's a burning cross on your lawn and the light's coming through the window and you just can't get any shut-eye.
Yeah.
So you've been out in your Somali neighborhood surrounded by Somalis being oppressed racially the whole day by fellow Somalis, or like one guy looks like Jim Gaffigan.
He must sleep really well.
So you went all day being racially oppressed, and then you went home.
And then just when you're getting over it and you're slipping into the beautiful world of sleep.
Right. So,
Well, you're also having trouble going to sleep because you've been, what did it say? It said dealing with racism all day?
yeah, they ruminate.
In their Somali neighborhood. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Well, also, yeah, exactly. So
All right.
It's
So we got to fix that.
yeah.
Side effects of Ambien may include forgetting about racism.
So sleep deficiencies.
Yeah, there's a chart on there, a percentage of population sleeping less than 7 hours a night. White and Asians look like they sleep the best.
Yeah, we do.
And then black people, Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders.
Well, the good thing
the
about
worst.
the Native Hawaiians is they don't have to go to work in the morning, so they're cool.
I like Alaska Native. That's just
Right.
Yeah.
because half the year the sun doesn't go down.
Yeah.
yeah, they have a good excuse.
Yeah.
National average is 35. out of-
35% of people sleep less than 7 hours a night.
Oh, okay. And then so American Indians are doing worse than the national average. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. So we got to get them some shut-eye.
Yeah.
And then Latinos, wait a minute. Hispanic is,
Hispanics are doing all right.
Right.
what's the difference between the Latinos and the Hispanics now? I thought we just used them both.
Me too.
Is that a different group?
Well, I mean, they're exactly the same, so we don't have to.
They're both doing good.
We don't have to.
So who's sleeping?
It's the same number.
Whitey's sleeping the best. Asians are tied with the white man.
Yeah.
Hispanics not doing well. Hispanics and Latino. Listen, I watched cartoons when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Those people can fall asleep leaning against a cactus, drunk. That's how I saw them all. Take the sombrero, tilt it down, lean back. Catch 'em.
Speedy Gonzalez flying by. They don't even wake up.
No, Hispanics from Spain, Latinos from Latin America. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the
From
article,
hold on a second. Hispanics just means from Spain? Well, that doesn't seems weird to me.
Feels like they're
Byron.
white. Those are white people, right?
They have a group from Spain?
yeah.
But is there a group from Switzerland or a group from Hungary or just a group from Spain?
Yeah, Spanish people? Yes, right.
Hispanic?
Yeah.
So if I said Hispanic person, you'd think, oh, that guy's definitely from Madrid?
Madrid, yeah. Loves
Or
tapas.
would you think it was a Mexican?
And
How
why
did you
and why
come-
is that the only one? Why, we don't have
don't-
like Higuido for
I was
us
saying,
Italian
we don't
people,
get
right?
our own. That can't be right, Byron. Where'd you get the Hispanic is from Spain? Is that something you looked up? They just put on my screen. Hispanic refers to a person with ancestry from a country whose primary language is Spanish.
Latino and its variations refer to persons with origins from anywhere in Latin America and the Caribbean.
South and Central America.
All right,
and the Caribbean.
but primary Spanish, but not from Spain is what I'm, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. Well, see, this is why I knew something was wrong.
But whose primary language is Spanish and isn't from South Central America, Latin
They
America,
speak
or the
Portuguese
Caribbean?
in Brazil.
Right.
Mm.
But
So
I'm
they
saying-
would be Latino and not Hispanic by those rules.
All right. Well, we don't need two groups. The point is get those smoke detectors fixed and get a little shut-eye, black people. And Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders, you guys got to get those smoke detectors fixed too.
Yeah, because the article says that we all need to work towards sleep equity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sleep equity.
Yeah,
Right.
Let's all get those beds.
Oh, a Craftmatic, something with a number on it.
Adjustable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get a sleep number.
All right, so we should chip in for sleep equity.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
All right, next tweet. So this is somebody tweeted at you saying that they're extremely disappointed in you. Mm-hmm. The person says, I grew up listening to old Loveline episodes on long car trips with my dad, and both he and Dr. Drew have completely gone off the deep end. I guess being a grifter is far more lucrative than giving honest addiction and sex advice.
Wow. I had to look. I didn't have to look it up, but grifter, I like the grifter part. So grifter implies that you're lying to make money.
Yes.
But I don't lie and I don't make money off of my super unpopular stances on everything.
Right.
So I would be the opposite of a grifter, because a grifter would be what you would think look, the person who wrote that article about sleep equity in the African American community, that person's a grifter. That person has a job, works as a PhD or something, some college, whatever, and is getting rewarded for their shit science and retarded opinion.
Yeah.
I say schools should be open during COVID, and so should beaches, and I don't think a mask works, and then I am attacked at large by the community I live in, and then blackballed from many projects and shows and things of that nature. So,
I can tell everybody listening for a fact, and we've only gotten to know each other recently. You scream about this stuff off air when you're not making commercial money too.
That's right.
When we drove home from Irvine, you were screaming about it in the car, and I was providing you with no financial compensation for you screaming about COVID.
Not at all.
Anything?
I gave him nothing. I gave him a ride home, and I said, thanks for the free COVID talk.
Yes. So
There's no grift involved.
No grift. Opposite of grift, really. I mean, if you think about whatever Dr. Drew talked about or whatever I spoke about. Well, okay, let's do some grift math here for a second. Why is it, what's this dick's name?
The Twitter account is at ye old Thoticus.
It's never somebody's first name and last name. We know that. That's not who the tweet's ever from.
Let's just do some reverse grift engineering, right? Why is it that everyone in Hollywood landed in the exact same place on all things COVID? Mm-hmm. Because you go, all right, there's a heading, a subheading, and there's a kind of micro and a macro. Like everyone could go, well, COVID is real and it's potentially dangerous and we think it's a big deal. And then everyone would get under that umbrella and go, I agree, I will sign off on that premise. And then within that, there's all a bunch of nuanced stuff, like a mask. Well, does a paper mask work? Does the paper mask work on 2-year-olds who are flying commercially? And then how would you keep a mask on a 2-year-old child on a 6-hour flight cross country? How practical is that? Does ivermectin work? Does hydroxychloroquine work? There's lots of room for tons of debates and arguments and thoughts that have to do with the vaccine. Not only the vaccine, but yes, during COVID, I would have 2 elderly parents and I have 2 young, healthy children. So then I would go, well, I like the idea of the vaccine for my elderly parents, but I don't think I like the idea of the vaccine for my young children. And I don't know anything about hydroxychloroquine, but Dr. Drew says it's been used for 50 years and it's very safe and you can use it while you're pregnant, but I think you should talk to your doctor about that. But I don't want to get involved with legislating that discussion because that'd be between you and your doctor, and I don't know anything about ivermectin. There's lots of room for that, except for there was none of that. Everyone ended up in the exact same place. Every fucking celebrity was tweeting the same thing.
Started selling it with promo code Carolla was where they really started calling the grifter.
So how is the guy who's speaking against that the grifter? Don't you think with all the intelligence that Hollywood has and all the brains and all the reading those people do, don't you think some people knew more than what they were saying and simply grifted along because they did not want to get shit canned from their job. I cannot tell you, when I do TV shows, I would have always a crew guy would come up to me and he'd just go, listen, I agree with you, but don't let anyone know we were talking because I'm scared to get fired. So who's the grift on?
I mean, I think there's a lot of grifters, especially now, on both the right and the left. I think there are people who have seen their potential to make money and be successful,
grift.
leaning.
I don't think on the right.
I don't think Adam Carolla's doing it. I think there are guys.
There's a version of right grift. It's not nearly as lucrative as left grift, but there's a version of right grift that you can do.
Donald Trump, as a New Yorker, is a lifelong New York Democrat who saw an opportunity to go, hey, if I say a bunch of this shit, these people like it, and that's where I could win the presidency of the United States. And now he's probably bought into his own thing, but he was grift. That was a planned attack.
Everybody can grift. There's more limited opportunities to grift on the right. I mean, ask fucking Gina Carano. She made a fucking innocuous tweet, and she's gone. So if Gina Carano had shut the fuck up, she'd still be working on the Magalorian or whatever the fuck you pussies. Whatever you fucking pussies. Whatever you nerd pussies are watching.
Donald Trump in a metal helmet is the Magalorian.
Magalorian.
Daily War, are you listening?
She'd still be gainfully employed.
Where's the little Yoda? Give me the Yoda. I want the Yoda.
You nerds would be watching the Magalorian right
now.
The
little green guy. He's probably an illegal alien.
Yeah, she didn't go along with the grift, and she was removed from her livelihood. And then there's a spot where you can go hard right and grift, but Dr. Drew and myself have not done that.
Yeah, I agree.
We're just giving our opinions on everything that idiots disagree with. And by the way, what part of a grift do you turn out to be correct all the time? I tell people all the time, tell me where I'm wrong. That's the grift. The grift is you say things that are wrong so you can get paid. Not shit that you turn out to be right about. Go look my books up. I've written books. I've spelled it all out. I've laid it all out. You tell me what I got wrong.
Adam will give you a refund.
I will give you a grifter's refund. Tell me what I got wrong about COVID, and then we can discuss the potential of me being a grifter, you pussy. And by the way, a grifter is it's sort of like racist. It's sort of lazy arguing. You know what I mean?
I've thrown it out there at people, but it's like when the resume speaks to you being a grifter, I'll throw it. I have a sports podcast. One of the guys, probably my least favorite person especially in the sports talking head world, is Clay Travis, because he was very famously, I've voted for Obama this many times, and he just told people there's a hole in the market. No one's being the right wing sports guy. I shall be it and make all the money from it, and he did. And it's like, that's a grift, and that's okay.
I know Clay.
Yeah,
but he believes it. Which is the difference.
Did he believe it before, or did he believe it? That's where I truly believe you didn't say anything for the sole purpose of grifting money.
No,
I'm not sure I believe that about him. You know him.
I do know him. He believes what he says, which I do say this a lot about, like when you talk to Chris Cuomo, and he's like, well, who knows what Tucker Carlson really believes, or who Dennis Prager really believes. I go, oh, they believe it. We can debate whether it's right or it's wrong, but I wouldn't question the belief part. I didn't know Clay very well before. He worked on a sports show with Cousin Sal and somebody else out here for a while, and then went off to Nashville, and I'd see him on occasion. But I do not find his rap to be different off the air than on the air. But he does lean into it. You can go, okay, these are my people. When I go out and do stand-up, I realize, they like Biden jokes. And
well, like,
they
for
don't
example,
really like
one of the
Trump
things,
jokes,
I'm a big NBA fan, and, the NBA finals have begun, and I love the NBA. I think the NBA is a fantastic global brand that has grown since the 90s.
Yeah.
And Clay is famously, the NBA is going broke because they went woke. And
right.
it's, the NBA just is on the verge of signing its doubling its TV deal to from 2.3 billion to 4.6 billion.
know.
So they're not going broke. So if you just repeat over and over and over, the NBA is going broke while they continue to make more and more money. Are you lying, or do you just not see are you not reading this? Because it feels like the information's out there to say the NBA is very much not going broke.
I don't know. We should contact Clay and see what he would respond to with that. I do know there is the danger of once you start going way down that road, you then start getting sucked up in things that you probably wouldn't have thought about or agreed with. Like, like there's no, on the left, there's no way, first off, there's no way Joe Biden gives a fuck about trannies. It's impossible that he spends so much time talking about people, transsexuals and the trans community and stuff like that. There's no documented evidence of him saying a word about that up until 9 months ago or 3 years ago. Like, there's no way everyone on the left over 65 cares that much about this group of people. That has to be virtually impossible. There's some version of that certainly on the right as well. I think it's generally saner, but it's like, you're not going to start talking about gun control and stuff if that's where you're at. And I think it's a danger, but it's not a danger for me or Dr. Drew because we don't get into stuff we disagree with.
Right. I think that's the difference between being a grifter and just being a guy with opinions that occasionally lean in one direction or the other.
Or unpopular.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, you gotta get paid to grift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get paid. I get punished to grift, but
terrible grift.
Terrible grift. Well, look, I've told the story before, but
you might be a grifter, but you're a shit at it. That's for sure.
I will say it one more time. I was doing a conservative talk show host. I was filling in as conservative talk show host, Dennis Prager, on Salem Radio, and it was the very morning that Kathy Griffin and the head cut off with Donald Trump thing broke. And they kept telling me to go on the air and say that Barron Trump saw the picture and thought his dad was dead. And I said, I don't know that to be true. And they were like, but let's do it, And I was like, no, because I don't think that happened. And they're like, well, it's in an article on Breitbart, and I go, all right, but I still don't think it happened. And they weren't being rude or even pushy, but they're like, why don't we come back from commercial break and we'll tell the story about Barron Trump seeing the picture and being traumatized. And I was like, doesn't make sense to me. Now, on the other side, when I hear stories about the Christian high school kids that traumatized the bottlenose dolphins by chasing them in the sea, I go, that doesn't happen. That didn't happen. People swim 4 miles an hour. They swim 30 miles an hour. So there's no traumatizing going on there with fucking dolphins, idiots. So shut up. And they go, you got to read the story. And I go, I don't need to read the story. That never happened.
I've seen dolphins swim and I've seen people swim.
And Barron Trump, dad's in the next room on top of a porn star. And when he's done, he'll come down the hall and you'll know that he went. So I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. Because I wasn't a grifter. I was like, I don't think. And then I said, if you can find this published in other publications, then I'll talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they came back in the next commercial break, and they went, we found it in another publication, but it's cited.
It's sourced.
It's sourced Breitbart.
Yeah.
I said, that's not another publication. So
that's just you guys making a website during the commercial break. That's right.
I didn't talk about it because I didn't believe it. Even though it would have been a good, salacious, grifty, anti-Kathy Griffin story. I said, no.
There we go.
Yeah, I didn't even have integrity. I'm just sort of like, look, if something didn't happen or it's not happening, I'm not going to say it happened.
Yeah.
And that was the whole problem with me all the way through COVID. I was like, this stuff that you're saying is happening is not really happening. And then I got into trouble.
See, people, his grift has no bounds.
No bounds.
There's no bounds.
Yeah.
All right. We got some news.
Yeah, we do. You want to take a break?
Yeah, do we? All right. Let's take a break. We'll come back and do the news right after this. Well, let me tell you about Morgan & Morgan. It's 2024, so let's talk about something important. If you get hurt this year, your injury could be worth millions. If you're ever injured, you should check out Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Over 100 offices nationwide and more than 1,000 lawyers. Well, they've done more than $20 billion they've recovered for over 500,000 clients. So let's say that's a pretty good track record. Morgan & Morgan is, well, they have a proven track record. That's what I just said. So they can fight to get you the full and fair amount of compensation. They've been fighting for the people for over 35 years. Racing my vintage cars, well, that can be hard, but submitting an injury claim with Morgan & Morgan, well, that's easy. So if you got an issue, had an injury, talk to my friends over at Morgan & Morgan. Am I right, Dawson?
If you're ever injured, you can check out Morgan & Morgan. Their fee is free unless they win. For more information, go to forthepeople.com/Adam or dial #law, pound 529 from your cell phone. That's forthepeople.com/Adam or #law, pound 529 from your cell. This is a paid advertisement.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Well, in the business of keeping your car on the road. That's what they do. Friendly, helpful service and parts and all the knowledge you need. I love these guys. I've always, even before they became a sponsor, a million years. I mean, back when I was renting a house up in La Crescenta, I'd always go to O'Reilly up there on Foothill Boulevard. Still there. Just passed there the other day. Always get my stuff from O'Reilly. Thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online. Check engine light. Is that on? Well, don't ignore it. O'Reilly VersaScan is a free diagnostic service that provides a detailed, easy-to-read report. Need wipers replaced or a brake light fix? They can help you find the right part or point you in the nearest repair shop so you can get it done that way. And they'll also test your battery for free in or out of the car. Talk to the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts today, or visit O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam.
It's time for Nicaraguan Name That Movie with Adam's buddy Oswaldo. See if you can guess which movie this famous line is from.
Just when I thought I went out, they pulled me back in.
If you said The Godfather Part 3,
just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
you're correct. Now, back to the show.
All right, let's do some news.
All right, we kind of brushed on this last show, but let's do a deeper dive into some LA fire hydrants, which have been vanishing. At least 302 hydrants have vanished.
Wait, 302?
302.
302.
Hydrants have been stolen since the start of 2023. And several
Stolen?
Yeah, stolen.
I blame Toyota, right?
Yeah, so they're these thieves are targeting hydrants. Sometimes a lot of them use the shutoff valve, which is thoughtful and considerate. But on several occasions,
I think they're only doing it so they don't get hit. But yeah, okay. There's a problem. Okay.
What is the reason behind this?
Raw materials.
Right.
Oh,
so they're not completely sure, but they believe there's some brass in the fire hydrants, but they said that if they turned in a fire hydrant to a center that takes them, they're only going to get like $100. So is it even worth it?
But there's also these metal places where you would traditionally bring these pieces of metal to recycle them. They explicitly cannot turn in a fire hydrant and get money. You can't unless it's a shady operation. So who is this underground people melting down fire hydrants? I think there's a general anarchy, chaos element to this that, let's get rid of the fire hydrants and light the city on fire. Here we go.
Oh, literally. Yeah.
No, I'm not that grifty. I'm more thrifty with my grifties.
Our smoke detectors work here. Right?
Yeah. I think as California, but as Los Angeles sort of descends into a third world sort of status, that thieves, things start off with, jewelry and expensive watches and luxury automobiles and computers and TV sets. But as things spiral down, we literally get into raw materials, which is where we're at now. Like copper being pulled out of conduit, and sold. And we're now at the point where we're into like raw materials. Like the next is going to be organ harvesting. Like people are just going to be cutting people open on the street and running with their liver. Like isn't that where? What is next? Is what I'm saying. Organ harvesting is next.
The thing about the fire hydrants and the catalytic converters and the copper, like a fire hydrant's heavy, and if you're going to get 100, like now you're just actually doing work. Like you're like unscrewing things and you're carrying, like just be a mover.
The thing, I agree. I feel the same way about the guy in the Winnebagos hooked up to the water and hooked up to the power line and parallel parked a 32-foot house in between two cars. It's like that guy's fucking capable.
Yeah, and it's like when you see the motorcycle guy who has the two things on the back, and it's like, get a car. At this point, you have 5 trunks on your motorcycle.
The motorcycle.
You're just a fucking car.
The guy driving the Honda Goldwing with the full fairing. He's got a stereo, speaker system. He's getting 7 miles to the gallon. It's like at some point, get a car.
You're not even splitting lanes
You're
anymore.
too wide.
You're not going
lanes.
fast. No one can ride on the back.
You got your fat bitch on the back. You got the intercom system. At some point, get a fucking
It's
car.
like I always said, what happens when the smallest iPad is smaller than the largest iPhone? Does like the world just cease to exist? Like when the smallest car is bigger than the biggest motorcycle. Is it even a motorcycle anymore?
Chris and his Prius get much better mileage than the guy on the Goldwing with the fat chick on the back. That guy. And some of them even have electronic training wheels that come down. Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen that.
Like if it tips to a certain degree,
no, like when
automatic.
you're probably like when you're parking it or holding it upright. Because if the shit falls down, you need a pickup truck. You need a flat or tow truck to get it back up on its feet again, which is the most embarrassing biker scenario ever. The bike fell over
and you can't
at
get
the
it.
rock store, and everyone's just staring at you, and you can't get it back up on its feet again, and you just fucking stand there. You got fake an injury. Yeah,
but like if you go out in the middle of the night and you steal a very heavy fire hydrant and you put it in your car and you go sell it for $100.
Well,
charge Bird scooters or something. Like there's a better way to make $100. Drive Uber.
I
What
don't
the
know.
fuck are you doing?
Reporting it's $100. Maybe they're just saying that so people stop doing it. It doesn't feel worth it. And a lot of them are using their cars to just knock them out.
over. The other thing that's going on, I think they knock them over after they hit it with an impact wrench. So. Is it Nithya Raman, our lady?
Our buddy?
That's our lady. She's making all the good policies.
She's good.
She's going after Toyota because it's their fault, because they're making the catalytic converters so super simple to steal. Super easy, as she talks about it. She should really have her sights set on Milwaukee and Makita and Hitachi for making battery-operated impact guns.
Too powerful.
Where you can just show up with your 20-volt impact gun and pull all the fucking tightened down nuts off it, then back into it, and it'll fall right over.
Right.
I don't think you can hit it with your car without doing damage to your car. And there's a video of it I saw somewhere, and I can tell what tool's being used by the sound of the tool. It's my gaydar.
Yeah.
And
I absolutely cannot correct you.
And I know what, and I could hear these guys with an impact gun.
Yeah.
So impact guns are what the mechanics would use, and they were pneumatic. and they're fired off a compressor.
Right.
Or you'd hear it, you know,
And you get that
pit team,
after.
NASA. Yeah. Now they're electronic, and they will bust some bolts off, man. I mean, they got big time foot-pounds of torque, and they will buck. So you get one of those, and so Nithya should be focusing on Home Depot and Makita.
Yeah.
But like, what do you get for a catalytic converter?
Well, $550 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Chris had his stolen. He's being impacted. He didn't sleep.
But
well
it's like,
that night.
what do you do for a living? Oh, I get on the ground under a car, I screw some things, and I make about $500 a day. Oh, you're a mechanic. Oh no,
Yeah.
I'm
Well, you
a
get more
thief.
than one car a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. On the other hand, it's now down to the point where a fire hydrant doesn't look like a fire hydrant. It looks like $100 bill to a lot of people, and they go, I'm just going to go pick it up. And since we don't really enforce laws here, why
I
wouldn't
guess
you?
if I ever had to turn to a life of crime, it wouldn't involve as much like manual labor.
Yeah.
No, I definitely feel that.
I'm committing crime to avoid doing manual labor.
Yeah, I feel that way about the guys you see picking through the aluminum cans and the trash.
I almost think these guys just like the life of crime. I have a brother. My brother is a sort of, we've talked about this, but he's a con man. He's always enjoyed a life of crime. Like he goes toward a life of crime. And so maybe we just have to convince them. It's like, it'd be real illegals if you guys reshingled this house.
Yeah.
That'd be real.
Like when you
that'd be
harness
real
this power
illegal.
for good.
You know what Dillinger would do right now? He'd get up there and flash that gutter.
Yeah.
Is there video, or am I making this up,
there's
of guys stealing at night, like with a Ring doorbell or something, where I swear I could hear that impact? Oh, yeah, this is it. Right.
Is this a fire hydrant?
Yeah.
Fire hydrants and using their vehicles to knock it off and haul it away. And it's not just here. Sheriff deputies told neighbors they've seen the same thing happening in Linwood, where multiple hydrants have been taken there too.
Yeah, play from the beginning, you'll hear it.
They're taken on Thursday. Thieves are turning off the water first and then literally unbolting the fire hydrants and using their vehicles to knock it off and haul it away. And it's not just here.
Yeah,
Sheriff
because
deputies told
that's
neighbors,
good. A drill just keeps turning, right?
Right.
But it doesn't create that much torque.
Right.
This goes pop, pop, forward, backward, to loosen up whatever's seized up. So
Nithya Rahman.
yeah,
Go after him.
Go after Makita or whatever tool those guys are using.
Sounded DeWalt to me.
It sound DeWalt
Yeah.
to you? What do you think, Hitachi?
That's great. Milwaukee? Is it?
Milwaukee,
Milwaukee.
yeah.
Milwaukee?
That's the red and black. It felt the film Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It felt like Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Like 18
It wasn't a
volt?
Ryobi, that's for
No,
sure.
no,
That
no,
Ryobi
no,
would
no.
never.
No.
The chance of Ryobi taking off a fire hydrant.
Almost zero.
Yeah.
What happened?
That's a casual man's. Like you go in, and you're like,
Yeah,
you're
it's
gonna
not Ryobi.
You're gonna fix your wife's she shed. You're not stealing fire hydrants with a
No,
Ryobi.
that's a
Imagine
real
showing
job.
up to that heist with a Ryobi.
Oh, you know what? They don't.
Ryobi's for the left wing grifter.
The guys who steal
right wing grifter would never.
The guys who steal hydrants don't throw around the word Bush League that often. But I think you would hear it if you showed up with your Ryobi.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, or Craftsman.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a good.
Go wait in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, go wait in the car.
You know
with
what?
The men.
You know what? Maybe you should just get a real job.
Yeah. Oh, you borrowed your wife's Ryobi impact gun for a night of thievery.
I've
That's
seen
so
them.
cute.
They have the pink Ryobi, right? Ryobi's the only one that was like, let's make the pink drill.
Yeah.
Let's cater to the lady who wants to drill
This
and
is
impact drive.
DeWalt, which I don't really like, but good enough.
But are you firmly in one power tool? Like, do all your power tools match?
Everybody, when I started in construction, all the power tool manufacturers picked a lane. So if you wanted, a skill saw, it was made by Skill, and it was like a hypoid saw, and everybody who framed used a skill saw. That's all anybody used. But if you wanted if you wanted a bayonet saw or sawzall, then that would be Milwaukee. And then if you wanted a cordless drill, that'd be Makita, because everyone had their stuff. And then they got deep into like plumbing stuff. Would be Rigid, would make plumbing stuff, and Porter Cable did routers, and everyone stayed in their lane. And that's all it was. So then you'd show up with your Porter Cable router and your Hitachi
didn't have to be brand
something.
loyal.
No, it wasn't anything.
Who broke first? Who started the great power tool war of 87
Well,
and started getting out of their own lane?
well, so it's the idea of battery operated stuff was
Right.
weird. And like I said, everyone just stayed in their own lane, and they stayed that way for a million years. They just specialized in whatever tool they specialized in. And Milwaukee would have never made a cordless drill. That was Makita. But Makita made a cordless drill, 9.6 volt, not a keyless chuck, although I always say that's the best name for a homeless guy ever, keyless chuck.
Keyless chuck.
It was a chuck. You need a key for the chuck, 9.6 volts, but it's like $115. It was expensive. And everyone just let Makita make a cordless drill for a full decade. They just went, that's Makita, that's what they make. And they cornered the market, and every single unit. And then at some point, somebody went, I think these cordless drills are sort of the thing of the future. And then what the fuck? You know, they did the same thing. It's like Gatorade's got spring water now. Like everyone just stayed in their lane. And then at some point they went, fuck that. We're going to make everything. And that's where we're at now. But it used to be pick a lane and a saw.
So does your power tool collection go all the way back to you have a mixed bag because you got OG tools?
I got started with the skill saw. Had to start with the skill saw. First thing everyone does with their skill saw as soon as they get it to the construction site is take the safety blade cover that's spring loaded and comes back, open it all the way up and shove a shim in it and get rid of the fucking safety, because you can't cut on a diagonal with the safety. So the safety gets pinned.
That's for the layman. That's for the home dad.
Right.
If you're on the work site, you don't need no fucking safety.
You wouldn't even use a high point saw. You use a circular saw, but it's a little different. But anyway, then when I was working across from Jay Leno's place, as I always tell back in the day, Tom Johnson.
Famous Ryobi man.
Yeah, but Tom Johnson, they didn't have Ryobi back then, I don't think. Tom Johnson, my foreman, showed up. It was just me and him working, but he was the boss. But he showed up one day, and he's like, I got you a Makita cordless drill from Terry Lumber. And I was like, wow, that's sweet. Terry Lumber's top, you pay the most. And I was like, wow, how much was it? I was like, thanks. It was like $118. And I was like, oh, okay. I was making $7 an hour, and he goes, but I'm taking it out of your paycheck. I go,
oh my God.
Okay,
Well,
thanks.
You're now an indentured servant.
I got it. Bought a compressor, brought a weenie compressor from him. Bought a T-nailer. It's my first nail gun. It's a big deal. Big deal when you get that nail gun, man.
Yeah.
You've arrived.
Nail gun. Hitachi made nail guns, framing
Hitachi.
nail guns, but they didn't make anything else. So everyone had their specialty, stayed in their lane, and a guy would show up with a full bed box full of tools, and it'd be Milwaukee for this, Hitachi for that, Rigid for that, Porter Cable for this, and that's how it was for a long time, and now it's everything. And by the way, you can get a good cordless drill for $39 or $69 or whatever. I mean, if you really think about it, my first Makita was $115 and minimum wage was $4.75 an hour. Now minimum wage is $20 an hour, and a good Makita cordless is $65, $80
You could
or
have
whatever.
done 3 hours of work to pay off that drill.
Oh my God. I mean, when he showed up, I was like, all right, but this is 4 days work for this fucking drill.
My scam, because this is how little home improvement stuff I do. I'm a renter, for God's sake, but because I don't want to go and buy the drill I can afford. I don't want to buy the $60 drill. I want to have the power, the real. I'll just go and buy the best drill I can get I'll spend $500 on a drill, and then I'll just return it to Home Depot after I get
Really? You're one of them?
Two
One of
days.
them.
Not
right?
moral.
Yeah.
Not moral.
Get your fire hydrant and then return.
You're the dude version of the chick who buys the cocktail dress and
Leaves
then
the tag
announces
on.
she's going to return it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't do that.
I've always
Your
said
brother's the criminal?
Yeah. Well, see, but I'm not even in his universe in terms of crime. But I always said one day when I've got it, when I own the garage that the tools will be stored in, I can.
Yeah.
But right now I'm just fixing things so I don't have to call my landlord.
Right.
When I finally did a TV show where like a home improvement TV show, and I think Hitachi dropped off just a ton of stuff. And then somebody broke into the garage and stole it all. But it was funny because we'd all taken our stuff home for the weekend. But my buddy Ray, he left all his stuff there. And then he got all his stuff stolen. And then he was super pissed off because he wanted to know, why is it they only stole my shit? And then he thought it was an inside job.
I was about to say, it probably was an inside job. Somebody goes, hey,
well,
there's a
we
bunch
all
of shit
took
there.
our shit home. That's why
That
they didn't
helps.
steal our stuff. Your stuff was the only stuff in the garage.
I don't
so
think
they
you were
stole
targeted.
your stuff. And he goes, yeah, but I still think I was targeted. And I said, yeah, but you weren't. You just were lazy and left all your shit behind. But yeah, I got a lot of good Hitachi stuff from that gig. Still got combination blades and stuff. All right. I like tools.
Yeah.
Now listen, there is, anyone listening, there is an excuse to slum it in tools and go super cheap.
Yeah.
And there is an acceptable tool from a hardcore tool guy like me that I will respect.
The 2-in-1.
No. If you say to me, I'm going to go to Harbor Freight and I'm going to buy a right angle 4-inch grinder for $14, that's a Chinese piece of shit, but I'm buying it because I'm just going to burn it out. Like I'm just going to keep grinding whatever into what I'm doing, and then at some point it'll start smoking, and then you just throw it out. Yeah, that I will not find fault with that man. But you got to go low. You got to go all the way to the bottom, or you got to get a good grinder. Yeah. But there's some jobs where you're just going to take your good grinder and you're just going to smoke it.
Right.
So just go get a piece of shit and do it that way. All right.
Yeah.
So
That's wasteful.
next story.
I like your tip about
it is.
double fisting drills too. One for the pilot hole and then one for the.
Oh, well, if you're good, you have an impact gun now and a pilot hole drill. Yeah, you got to have a drill, and you drill your pilot hole, and then you sink your screw with the impact gun.
Right.
All right.
So you're going to graduation, Adam.
Yeah.
But there's a story, as we record this, it's very recent. It's a school superintendent in Wisconsin was granted a restraining order against a parent who rushed the stage during a recent high school graduation and blocked the administrator from shaking hands with his daughter. So and there's video of it. So you'll see the dad, and the superintendent is the black guy. So the daughter is right there at the top right. She's coming up, shaking everyone's hand, and here's the dad. And he's like, nope, you are not. There's volume too.
Oh, really?
If you want to hear, everyone's confused.
Volume's always an issue here. We can start from the beginning again now.
So there's just commotion. I mean, it's just commotion, but you can.
Who's the kid with the full beard and the long hair? Who's that guy going nowhere?
Excuse me.
And he basically said, "You're not touching my daughter." And the guy's like, "Get off me! What are you doing? What are you?" So, a lot of people are saying, "I want to get your thoughts on this because at the moment we record this, we don't know why this happened. It's unclear what prompted the altercation, but people are saying he's quite racist. It's a racist act, and that he didn't want the black superintendent to touch his daughter."
Well, everything between black and white is always racist until proven otherwise now. That's all we do is we just go, a racist move. The daughter had the Kira Sedgwick hair.
Yeah.
She'd been watching too many Kira Sedgwick movies. And probably just wanted to get a little cred at school with the whole Kira Sedgwick look, and she had that hair. Now, there has to be a backstory here.
Of course.
There 100% has to be a black, not a black story.
black story.
Backstory. It cannot just be, I'm a racist and I'm going to charge the stage. What people don't really realize about racists, especially when they're accusing me of either being a grifter or being a racist, is if I was racist and I tried to live in Los Angeles in 2024 and maintain the relationships I have as a racist, I would keep it quiet. I would not say all the shit I say that you say makes me racist. Like some of the stuff they say, which is like when they go, this politician or that politician, or like Trump says he doesn't want, but he doesn't want black people to be able to have batteries for smoke detectors. Like, he may think that, but he's not saying he's not saying that, because if he's saying that, then that will torpedo your chances of reelection or what have you. So you have to kind of think through how many racist things you misinterpret. If this guy...
If there's no backstory here and he just says, you're not touching my daughter.
Because of the color of your skin, you've completely outed yourself in modern times as a racist, and thus you are a pariah.
I don't know. The guy with the hat at his daughter's graduation with the sunglasses on top.
That's a Trump voter.
You got
the Trump voter.
I don't know. I think he might have outed himself as a racist before he even got up there and did it.
That's true.
He might be proud of this. This might be his crowning achievement.
Mask is Biden voter. Sunglasses on trucker hat is Trump
your
voter.
Your profile picture is you inside your truck with your sunglasses on your hat.
So he is a Republican.
Yeah.
He is a Trump voter.
He's seen every episode of The Mandalorian.
Right. Yeah. But there's got to be a backstory.
Now, what's the story is that just that he did this, and there's video of it. Did you say there was a lawsuit?
So police are thoroughly investigating the motive and what happened, but nothing at the moment is being...
Because it is, by law, it's battery as well. Like, he is going and physically moving a man across the stage.
And he was granted the restraining order, but a huge racism debate online because of what happened. So,
well, look, the thing about the racism thing, have we not been lured into this and then found out to be wrong a sufficient number of times to stop the ladies from The View diving on this race grenade? Like every single time something happens, and they go, "It was right," and then there's been so many Jussie Smollett, so many. What about Bubba Wallace? There was a noose hanging from his pit garage door and stuff like. There's been a million college race hoaxes where it's like the guy wrote KKK on the bathroom. Oh, it turned out it was a black student who did that. Like, have we not had enough of this? Oh, the trees in the Oakland Park have nooses hanging. No, they're rings for the black guy to get his exercise. Like, could we slow our roll at least so we don't all have racism egg on our face?
What do you think the other pretend? Do you think he didn't want his daughter touching the guy who just touched the bearded?
Let's talk about
Lord
the
of
bearded
Rings
troll.
You're not putting that hand that you just put on that guy on my daughter.
Somebody's got to reach Kira Sedgwick for comment, because she's gonna shine a light on this.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to know what she thinks.
All right.
But I'm sure more information come out. Well, this high school is actually in the news in 2018 when there was a photograph of students raising their hands in a Nazi salute shared on social media.
Oh boy.
Oh, I forgot also those hoaxes where it's like the Marine cadets in the background of the game or something were doing a signal, like the OK symbol, whatever. Like the truck driver.
The OK one was always like, you can't just decide the thumbs up is racist.
There was like a truck driver from San Diego that like drove for SoCal Edison that was like hanging his hand out the fucking window of his truck, and somebody's like, he had his forefinger and his thumb touching, and then they got him fired. Like,
now these kids aren't doing the okay.
No,
right? No, but according to the photographer who took the picture at the time, they claimed that I told the guys, okay, say goodbye to your parents in the picture. So wave.
Right, this is what happens. But that's another race hoax here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sure we'll find out in the.
I don't. I mean, listen. I'm TBD on the guy who went up and stopped his daughter, but like the guy in the front right, he can't be waving goodbye to his family with the straight out arm, right? Now I've just done it on camera, and they're going to take a still shot of that.
Use it as our promo picture. For
There's
the episode,
enough
guys.
that are vertical with the open hand, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, who knows for sure? But anyway, this is the same high school.
What do you think the photographer did? Yelled Sig Heil? Like what do you think the photographer did? Like, I mean, let's break it down. Like that's the same thing about the kids.
It's
harassing
just weird.
dolphins.
It's weird to me.
Like, what
it's
happened?
weird to me that none of them are doing this guy. None of them are this
right.
dude.
But how did you? Okay. Do all these kids know each other, and are they all part of the same group? That'd be like number one. Like if you got,
it is weird that this was the field trip just for the group of kids who want that principal fired.
Right.
And then nobody's telling the truth here, and then another person, the guy who didn't raise his hand I guess the guy at the bottom right said, no, the photographer didn't say raise your hand in a Nazi symbol way, but I'm pretty sure my classmates just interpreted it as raise your hand, but let's do this as a joke. And then when they asked if they knew what the gesture meant, another student said, no, nobody knew what it meant.
Well, that's a pretty good point. I mean, I was talking to Mike August on the way here, and I realized remember we did our Mary Mac and Monitor quiz around here?
Yeah.
No one even knows what the fucking Civil War battle, first ironclad ships were and stuff. Like, people don't know anything about anything that happened in World War II or Civil War or anything. This was part of my pitch to Mike August of why we don't even need high school anymore. They don't even fucking learn anything.
Yeah.
Like,
if you ask a kid, oh, what happened in Civil War? They're going to be like, oh, Captain America went against Iron Man.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, they don't know old Ironside. Unless they think it's a 70s cop show or something. Let's see. Even that. Well, so why do we even do it in high school anymore? There's no more fucking learning about the Mary Mac and the Monitor. We're done. We're done with the story of Levi Strauss coming in the 49ers and making jeans and stuff. We're done with all of it. It's just talk about transitioning people and the rights of the whatever community and the indigenous. You learn to read or write on your phone.
Yeah, maybe the story from this video is that was the last guy who was trying to teach about the Civil War. And the dad was like, not on my watch. You're not touching that guy who's trying to educate people.
It'll be something.
Right.
It'll be something other than this guy's just racist and making a move.
Right.
But you got to take the hat with the Oakley blades off it and leave it on your seat.
Yeah.
When you run a coaster move in between the daughter and the black guy, because the hat
doesn't help.
Doesn't help. Does not help. All right, let's do one more.
Oh, okay. So we all know what I'm guessing you know what the most popular soda in the country is.
Oh, say Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Yeah, Coca-Cola.
I was like, is this a trick question?
No, it's not a trick question. And the second most popular soda in the country is
Dr. Pepper.
Diet Coke.
Well, it was Pepsi since 1985, but yeah, Dr.
Is
Pepper,
it Dr. Pepper?
has now surpassed Pepsi as the second favorite soda brand in the U.S.
Good. Dr. Pepper tastes like something. Pepsi tastes like a different, lesser version of Coke, and then Dr. Pepper is like its own category.
Right, and just like Coca-Cola, the formula for Dr. Pepper is a trade secret. The recipe is kept as 2 halves in safe deposit boxes in 2 separate Dallas banks.
Oh, I remember.
And the only guy who's seen it both, Mr. Pibb.
That's right.
He got pretty fucking close.
He got pretty close.
He got two quick looks.
Mr. Pibb.
He has a photographic memory. Mr. Pibb.
Has anyone been to the Coca-Cola Museum?
No.
I've been, in Atlanta. Yeah, I've been.
You been there?
Yes.
Oh, man. I went there because I went to Road Atlanta to do a race or something, and it got rained out or something. So we're like, what are we going to do? So we went to the Coke Museum, and we looked all around the Coke Museum, and then it was time to go. And then there was they hire special needs people to work at the museum because
You can pay him in Coke.
Yeah, it's hard to fuck.
Want
things
a
up in
2-liter?
museum. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they probably just stood. He stood in front of the whatever, and he was there to ask us like if we saw the polar bear exhibit or something, and we didn't. But you can't tell special needs people no.
You just say yeah.
So I went. He was like, "Come on." He's like, "Did you guys see the polar bear exhibit upstairs?" And I was like, "Yeah, we saw it. It was great." And my stupid friend was like, "No, we didn't see it."
And then he's like, "Grab my hands."
Yeah, gotta come this way. And he went, Carolla. So I was like, just fucking say you saw the stupid thing. Now we gotta go stare at museums of polar bears with a retarded guy for 20 minutes because you had to be so fucking honest. Ugh. Sorry. All right, let's do one
You
more.
want to do one more? All right. So we talked about the fire hydrants being removed and it's ruining the city. Well, let me know what you think about these guys. So more than so some more things got removed. First off, steel planters. Now, steel planters around Playa Vista have been removed.
Are you saying planters?
Planters, yes.
Oh,
steel planters illegally bolted to the ground.
Planters.
Oh, steel planters.
Yeah.
Illegally bolted to the ground to deter people from parking their vehicles on the street, RVs, like the homeless people.
Oh, okay.
So these people planted steel planters, bolted them to the ground so RVs wouldn't park there. They have now been removed.
By the city.
By the city,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
And they have cited the people. They found out the people who did it, and they've been cited.
Yeah.
But people taking it into their own hands.
Yeah. Look. Okay. During COVID, they fucking forced everyone out to eat on a sidewalk, even though they made no scientific data, fucking anything with their 6 foot and their stupid mask up in between bites and stuff. But they shut restaurants down and they forced everyone out in the sidewalks. And so the people started going out in the sidewalks and then they started putting up like fake shrubs and stuff so homeless people wouldn't like sleep on the sidewalk next to the thing. And then the city cites the people. It's like, listen, city, either you have to enforce laws or you have to look the other way at the Sodom and Gomorrah that you've created while citizens take the law into their own hands because you're not enforcing the law. It can't be, it has to be one or the other. You either have to go, we're living in a lawless world where people can set up encampments and build shanty towns and with visqueen roofs and park fucking Winnebagos wherever they want and deal fentanyl out of them. And I can drive 110 miles an hour on the freeway because we're now in a lawless zone. Or
not only that, but during COVID, the laws were actually protect. Like I was living in Venice when it happened, and people were setting up full. Like you said, the guy has a wire running into his tent. There's a barbecue in there, and I was like, this feels dangerous. He's like, we're in a stay-at-home order. And that's his home. And I was like, well, what the fuck? Well, we've really lost the plot on the word home at this point.
Did you see... Okay, Chris, I sent you a video of the Winnebagos.
Yeah, you did.
Turn the sound down on it.
Yeah, we can watch
hear me
mute.
talking. But it'll be the one time we get sound, I predict. It'll be the one time. But I can show you video I took on PCH. The homeless people have been doing what I've been thinking they should do for the whole time, which is don't live in fucking Sunland or Sun Valley in a hot, dirty dust bowl. Move out to Malibu. Don't live on Skid Row. Move to Venice Beach.
Yeah.
I was filming this as I was driving down PCH right next to Mastro's, and there's now homeless encampments in Winnebagos and school buses and trailer just parked all along PCH.
Ocean View, baby.
The most expensive real estate in the world. I was online putzing around today. It was 85. There's a house for $85 million up the street on PCH. So this place, when I'm driving home, there's a cop on a motorcycle who's tucked in behind a barrier with a radar gun because he's trying to catch taxpayers who are speeding on PCH. It's bumper to bumper traffic. I don't know what this fucking guy's doing, but he's sitting there with the fucking radar gun. On the other side of the street is guys dealing meth out of a fucking broken down Winnebago. Probably some cartel guy they pay rent to or something who tows it out there and lets them flop in it. There's no enforcement of that. So I don't know what the plan is. I really don't get it. And I was...
Well, it's all the bureaucracy. When I first moved to LA, I moved to Venice. It was 2010. And there was the RV situation was the whole neighborhood was full of RVs.
Yes.
And what I learned was...
RVs, you got a $3 million house and there's a fucking guy just living in a fucking tin box in front of you.
Yeah. They would say that like the whole neighborhood would have to get together and then they would have to petition, and then if the petition would be passed by a certain amount of people, then you can put up a sign that said no overnight parking for vehicles over 6 feet. And that was, so then one by one, each block got, moved out the RVs, and now they're up on PCH.
And remember, people rent these out too.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Airbnb.
So that's a premium.
Yeah.
That's a premium location.
Living on the ocean in the most expensive real estate in the world. And I was screaming at some guy about it.
If you ever want to come over and check out my spot, it's pretty good, by the way. I'm right there by Sunset Boulevard.
I was talking to someone who knew something about it, and I was like, I can't believe the city of Malibu is putting up with this shit. I can't believe it. I mean, Malibu. And, because like Beverly Hills doesn't put up with this shit. Beverly Hills like, fuck this. We got a bunch of rich people living here, and they don't want this, and we're going to enforce our laws, I can't believe they're doing this in Malibu. And he goes, PCH is not Malibu.
I was going to say.
It's California.
Yeah.
So you have this strip of California that is not incorporated into Malibu that runs along it. That's why you got the cop giving out chicken shit tickets and the homeless fentanyl dealers living in their fucking shacks. Literally 100 yards away from the most expensive steakhouse in the country, Mastro's of Malibu. You got other guys living there. Now, God knows what Mastro's is paying in taxes and utilities and rent and everything else living on PCH with a business on PCH. But these guys ain't paying shit, and there's no enforcement of it. And it's because it's California.
Yeah, there's an intersection in Long Beach where PCH crosses 7th Street, and it's always backed up because they can't time the lights correctly since the Long Beach can't touch the PCH lights.
Right.
I would argue that if somebody took your home and said there's a 3-foot strip of carpet that goes all the way down the middle of your home, and that's the state of, I'd go, fuck that. I'm not letting homeless guys live in there. Like, I'm sorry. Like, city of Malibu, go fucking move the RVs. And if Gavin Newsom, you want to make this a plank and one of your talking points, or Nithya Raman or whatever nutty backwards superstitious politician, say whatever you want. We're cleaning up Malibu because we live in Malibu and there's a stretch of highway that goes through Malibu that you have jurisdiction over, but you're not doing it. And this is the most insane thing in the world, that there's vagrants living in Winnebagos, and like it's the most expensive real estate in California, and it's crazy.
So they try to stop it with these planners, but
but the city got involved. Also, the city, when they spring into action now, but they don't spring into action when the guys are parking the Winnebagos. Could you imagine having like young kids and have them like open their front door and you go, just walk up to the side of this big Winnebago, just parked there with some fucking pedophile junkie living in there? Like,
justice involved.
Junkie. Pedophile junkie. Like, that's insane. And your house is $2.7 million in Venice
Now,
Beach.
remember, kids, don't go wandering into unincorporated California. Stick to the Malibu City borders.
So what they'll do is a whole bunch of more Winnebagos will pull in, and then it's because there were none 6 months ago. Now there's 20.
It's money. Mastro's finally ponies up, pays off the right person. Then somebody comes over.
Some point, one of them's going to catch on fire and fucking kill somebody, or some drunk driver's going to plow into one and kill some guy sleeping in it, and then they'll make their move. You want to know another thing that's crazy? Let me tell you about what is crazy. I walk the streets, the lonely streets of PCH on an almost daily basis. I chug it all the way down, right? And I started noticing, and they build these mega houses on PCH that are $150 million. And I started to notice something, which is they all have, all the big places on PCH on the ocean side have a big wall or gate or electric gate or whatever security, whatever a $100 million house has, right? And it's all about kind of privacy. But if you get to any of the open space where you could see the ocean from the sidewalk, it's open. Now it has a fence, but the fence is slotted and open.
Okay.
And I started noticing it when I was walking by. I'd walk by this one house and it had a fence. It was slotted fence that you could see, but it had sandblasted glass behind it, so you couldn't see through where the driveway was or the garage was. When you got to the pool, you could see right through the pool and see the ocean.
Okay.
It was about 20 feet wide. And I used to walk on it, and I was like, why would these people have privacy where their driveway was, but then their swimming pool is right here, and you can see right through, the glass is clear. And I go, that's just a weird choice to make. You had the sandblasted stuff you couldn't see through, and now we got to see through. All right, so be it. And then I walked to another house, and it was another gate, but you could see right through it to where the ocean was. And then I realized there's an ordinance, and the ordinance is you cannot build a fence so that the people walking down the sidewalk or driving by in a car can't see the ocean. You can build it in front of your house where we couldn't see the ocean because your house would be blocking it, but if there's an open space, we need it to be see-through so you can see the ocean. Okay, well then what's a 32-foot Winnebago with corrugated steel on the side of it, parked every 10 feet along the same highway? What, isn't that an obstruction to the majestic view of the Pacific?
But in between each bumper, Adam.
In between each bumper, there's a 4-foot slot where you could, yeah. So if you're building a $100 million house there, that is strictly enforced because there's no way rich people would want you walking down PCH and looking into their fucking backyard of their $100 million mansion. It sure as fuck wouldn't want you looking into your swimming pool, right? There is a rule, but there's no rule about the Winnebagos.
Mm-mm.
That's all you need to know,
Little inconsistent.
people. Little inconsistent. All right, let's talk about me. I'm going to be in Vegas doing a live show there. Josh Wolf's going to be up on stage. Michael Yo, that'll be coming up on Thursday. And then, and those guys are both great up on stage. And then Irvine, I'll be at the Improv there, and we're going to be hosting a movie, a screening there, and we'll do a live podcast. We'll have the cast in, and that'll be Sound of Hope. And that'll be...
And that's free.
That's free. That'll be June... Does that say 19th from here?
Yeah, June 19th. Juneteenth. It'll be
Juneteenth.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
At 1:30 p.m.
Levittown, I'm going to be there, and Joe's going to be there. That'll
right.
be June 28th and 29th. And you can go to Joe's dates. That's at joepraino.com, and also the podcast Dirty Sports as well. Until next time, Adam Carolla, Joe Praino, Chris Max Bada saying, mahalo.